All right, everybody, peace. Welcome to Start About the Basketball Show, wherever or however you're listening. We're so grateful to have you here with us. As you guys know, I'm Sean Cottle, and we've got a wonderful show for today, guys. We're going to be previewing the NCAA Women's Sweet 16 matchups. A lot of exciting matchups, guys. It's been a wonderful tournament, one of the best tournaments I've seen so far since I started watching women's college basketball. We're going to be discussing those Sweet 16 matchups as well as some recent news coming out of Ohio State and UConn, respectively. So, with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and get right into it, shall we? We're not going to waste any time. Like I said, let's discuss our Sweet 16 matchups on the women's bracket. Like I said, a lot of exciting matchups. And if you guys remember, based upon the predictions I made last week for the Final Four, just for the tournament as a whole, I had UConn, UCLA, sorry, I had UCLA, South Carolina, Notre Dame, and Kentucky as my Final Four predictions. And as of right now, we're still slated to have those same Final Four matchups, except for Kentucky. As you guys know, Kentucky suffered an overtime loss to Kansas State, in which they were up by 7, 8 points in the last 3 minutes of the game, but they allowed Kansas State to come back, ended up losing in overtime. And you can argue it was a game that Kentucky should have won. I I'm in that camp, and I believe that Kentucky should have won that game. But the issues that has plagued Kentucky all year showed up again in that game against Kansas State. Issues with the offense being stagnant when Georgia Amore isn't in rhythm, foul trouble for the bigs, which is so ironic because Kentucky has one of the best uh, trio of bigs in college women's college basketball, yet they always seem to get in foul trouble. But also Kansas State had a non-perennial shooting performance. I believe they shot 60% from the three-point line, and one of their players had a career high 8 3-pointers in that game. So how often would that happen? It was just Kansas State's night. But we still have our other Final Four teams in play. Like I said, we still have UCLA, who's matched up with Ole Miss in this week 16. Ole Miss is a team that has been on a hot streak as of late to close out the season. They performed well in the SEC tournament. They defeated Ball State in the first round, 83 to 65. They defeated Baylor in the second round, 69-63. Baylor, as we all know, a team that also is coming on strong, has terrific guard play. But Ole Miss, it seems to be peaking at the right time. The guards at Ole Miss have been playing phenomenally. They have started to limit their turnovers, which has allowed Ole Miss to have extra possessions. And now Ole Miss looks so much more dynamic offensively. And we already know that Ole Miss was already one of the better defensive teams in the country. And now couple that with a more potent, more proficient offense, that allows them to be a team that is going to be a very scary matchup. And we all know what UCLA has been able to do. Obviously, they defeated Southern in the first round, 84 to 46, and they defeated Richmond in the second round, 84-67. This is going to be the first real test for UCLA in the tournament, and I'm excited to see how UCLA's guards match up with Ole Miss's guards. We already know that Lauren Betts is All-American, one of the best bigs in the country. I am expecting Ole Miss to double Lauren Betts right away as soon as she gets in the low post. I expect them to double from the middle and force everything baseline with Lauren Betts because you don't want to give up the paint because then that leads to open shots for the shooters for UCLA. UCLA, their guards, though they're not as quick as the guards at Ole Miss, though they are proficient shooters, especially off the catch. And can Ole Miss take away the 3 point line while still limiting the impact that Lauren Betts has? That's going to be the key matchup or the key to success for Ole Miss against UCLA. And if we look on the other side, we have South Carolina and Maryland. Maryland coming off perhaps the most exciting game from the NCAA tournament so far in their 111-108 win against Alabama in double overtime. And their match against South Carolina. South Carolina obviously has not had much struggle as of late. I know the game against Indiana in the second round says 64 to 53, but if you watch that game, you never really felt like South Carolina was in trouble. And it kind of looked like South Carolina was on cruise control. If I have any cause of concern, my concern is can South Carolina turn that gear on or get to that next gear in time for the performance against Maryland. I do believe Maryland's a better team than Indiana, but Maryland's a team that's been wildly inconsistent throughout the season. But they're led by Cheyenne Sellers, who's one of the best players in the country. And then if we go back to the other side, we have LSU and NC State. Listen, I said in the beginning of this tournament that if Florida State was able to get past LSU, then Florida State would have a great chance of making the Final Four. Obviously, that didn't happen. Florida State lost to LSU 70 to 101. And LSU seems to be a team that is also peaking at the right time, just like Ole Miss. Anissa Morrow just got named All-American. Flau'jae Johnson also got named All-American. Obviously, so Michaela Williams as well. And last tier as well, leading the point guard position. And LSU seems to be finding what works for them, and that is getting out in transition, attacking early, attacking often. But one of the things that's plagued LSU all season is their defensive inconsistency, which is so surprising because the physicality and the quickness they have on that team to be great defenders. But they have been inconsistent defensively, and that has been their Achilles heel so far. However, their offense looks so proficient. I mean, they scored 100 points in each of the two games so far in the NCAA tournament. And can they keep that up against NC State? NC State, a team that is known for its defensive proficiency, particularly at the guard position. And Isaiah James, who will be a top 10 pick this year in the WNBA draft, her leading NC State is going to be an exciting matchup. And does LSU have an answer for Isaiah James? Who will be guarding Isaiah James? These are all questions for LSU, and obviously Sanaya Rivers as well. The combo talented guard for NC State. What impact will she have as well? And this is going to be an exciting match. Vegas currently has LSU minus 3.5. And listen, that's not too far off. I do think this is going to be an exciting game. But if we go to the other side, we have North Carolina and Duke. This will be an exciting matchup, obviously because it's Duke and North Carolina. But also, these are two of the three best teams in the ACC. We already know what Duke's been able to do. Duke handled Lehigh 86-25 and had a very scrappy matchup against Oregon in the second round, in which they won 59-53. Deja Kelly of Oregon, led Oregon to come back. However, it wasn't enough against Duke, and obviously North Carolina defeated Oregon State 70-49 in the first round, then defeated West Virginia 58-47 in the second round. And North Carolina, the team led by Alyssa Espy and Hannah Donarski, is peaking at the right time. North Carolina is a team that they don't want to get up and down. They want to play in the half court. They want to be physical with you. They want to run through their entire sets. And by doing that, they limit the possessions of other teams. And Duke is a team that also, they will run if they have numbers or if they create advantage through turnovers. But they're not a team that's looking to run every possession. They like to play in the half court as well. So these teams are matched up pretty evenly. However, Duke is, in my opinion, one of the best defensive teams in the country, if not the best defensive team in the country in terms of consistency as well as intensity. And that will be an exciting matchup as well. Now, obviously, we have USC and Kansas State as well. And with the matchup with USC and Kansas State, unfortunately, it will have an asterisk next to it because of the injury to Juju Watkins, her tearing her ACL. What does that mean for USC? We saw what USC was able to do without Juju Watkins for about 75% of that game against Mississippi State. They still looked proficient. They looked great. They looked more balanced offensively, and defensively was my main cause for concern. They looked great defensively, albeit against Mississippi State. Will they be able to limit the shooting success of Kansas State and also limit the impact that the bigs of Kansas State will have? And can it keep them off the glass? Kansas State is a team that is one of the league leaders or leaders in the nation in offensive rebounds. So will USC be able to limit second chance opportunities from Kansas State? And if you look at Texas and Tennessee, Texas obviously number one team in that region. Tennessee coming off 82-67 victory against Ohio State in the second round. And Texas coming off a 65-48 victory against Illinois in the second round. And this is the one matchup where I don't believe it's going to be particularly close. I believe Texas is one of the best teams in the country. Tennessee is playing well, but I think Texas is just so dominant, and they match up well with Tennessee. Uh, but if we go to Notre Dame and TCU, people are saying this is going to be the most exciting matchup in the Sweet 16. I don't believe it's going to be particularly close. We have to remember that these two teams played each other earlier in the year as well. But these are two different teams. I think TCU has gotten better, but Notre Dame's gotten better as well. You guys know what I think about Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame is, in terms of talent, in the starting five, they're the best team in the country, no question, led by three All-Americans in the backcourt with Hannah Hidalgo, Olivia Miles, and Sonia Citron. They used to have Maddie Westbeld and Leah Tu King. Notre Dame is peaking at the right time. We saw how they handled Michigan. They won 76-55, and they defeated SF Austin in the first round, 106-54. Listen, Notre Dame is. We talked about this earlier in the season that this is the year for Notre Dame to finally make that run to the Final Four with that core group of girls that they have there with Olivia Miles and Sonia Citron and Maddie Westbeld. This freshman class that was one of the first freshman classes to play for Nia Ivey when she first got there. This is their opportunity. They've had ample opportunity starting back in 2022, but however, Olivia Miles got hurt, and then the following season, Olivia Miles didn't play, and Sonia Citron got hurt, and then you have Hannah Hidalgo, and so you got all the pieces coming together finally, and this is the perfect year, the perfect opportunity for Notre Dame to get over that hump to get to the Final Four. And TCU is coming off an 85-70 victory against Louisville. Louisville is one of the best coached teams in the country, and they do not get enough credit. Very scrappy team, very intensive team. That team does not get enough credit, and neither does the head coach for Louisville. I think Louisville has one of the best head coaches in women's college basketball. And if we look at Oklahoma and UConn, Oklahoma obviously coming off a 96-62 victory against Iowa. UConn coming off a 91-57 victory against South Dakota State. Oklahoma is another team that's peaking at the right time. Oklahoma has one of the fastest paces of play in the country. They like to get up and down the court. They like to shoot a lot of threes. They live by the three. They die by the three. So they can be a little inconsistent at times. Obviously, UConn is a team that has a lot of depth. They execute their sets to perfection in the half court. However, their lack of athleticism can hurt them at times. Will that happen with Oklahoma? That will be the big question. So if I give you my predictions, guys, so we go about to it. UCLA, Ole Miss, though it will be an exciting matchup, I don't believe that Ole Miss will be able to limit the shooting prowess of UCLA, though I do think they'll be able to limit the impact of Lauren Betts. And I believe UCLA will win this game by about 10 to 15 points. So I have UCLA defeating Ole Miss to get to the Elite Eight. And with South Carolina and Maryland, some people have cause for concern with South Carolina, like we said earlier, but I do believe that South Carolina matches up well with Maryland in terms of their depth and their size and their physicality. And I just think Maryland is not experienced enough on that roster to handle the moment or to have enough success in the moment to defeat South Carolina. Though talented, I have South Carolina winning this game by about 20 points. And if we look at LSU, NC State, this is going to be the most exciting matchup in the Sweet 16, not TCU, Notre Dame. LSU, NC State will be the most exciting matchup in the Sweet 16, and I have LSU winning this game by a close margin of 2 or 3 points. I do think this game will be close. It will be down to the wire. It will be back and forth consistently. I expect Isaiah James to have a very proficient night. However, the balanced attack of Anissa Morrow, Floyd Johnson, Kelly Williams will be enough for LSU to overcome or to overmatch NC State. And we look at North Carolina, Duke. This is going to be a slugfest, very ugly game. Don't be surprised if this game is in the low 50s. But I have Duke winning this game. Duke is a team that's peaking at the right time. They look extremely talented. Defensively, Kara Lawson is doing a great job of establishing her culture in this Duke program, and you can see it now. It started back in 2019, and it's coming to fruition now. Something we always talk about is that when it comes to bringing in coaches and allowing them to establish culture, within an organization or a program, either at the collegiate or the professional level, it takes 4 to 5 years for that coach to truly establish the culture. You got to give time for the old regime to move out. Then you got to give that coach time to bring in his guys or her girls. And this is what happens when you allow coaches time to establish culture within a program. And Duke is the beneficiary of that. So I have Duke winning this game against North Carolina about 7 to 8 points. I do think it'll be an ugly slugfest though. Defensively, beautiful game though. But in terms of what the average fan likes to see and what the media likes to promote, ugly. And if you look at Texas, Tennessee, I have Texas winning this game by about 20 points. I don't think this game is going to be particularly close. I think Texas is a team that will be able to handle Tennessee based on how they performed against Tennessee earlier in the year. And if you look at Notre Dame, TCU, I have Notre Dame winning this game, guys, by about 10 to 11 points. Right now, Notre Dame has a spread at -6, but listen, Olivia Miles, the handhead dog. You guys already know what I think about Olivia Miles. I think she's the best player in women's college basketball. Now I was with handhead dog, Sonia Citron, Maddie Westbelt. I think this is the year for Notre Dame to get over that hump and finally make it past Sweet 16 and perhaps even into the Final Four. And we have Oklahoma, UConn. I have UConn winning this game by about 15 points. Right now their spread is at 14 -5. Paige Beckers is starting to be more dominant, more imposing offensively, and this is what I wanted to see from Paige since she's been at UConn. I know playing under Gino, those sets you execute them to perfection. There's a lot of ball movement, but when you see Paige and with the ball in her hand and you allow her to dominate, you see why she's been giving the keys and giving the reign to be the best player in women's college basketball. Why she's been giving that title from such a young age. Though I don't think she's the best player in women's college basketball, but when you see her in a dominant state, you understand why some people believe that. And so I have UConn winning this game, defeating Oklahoma by about 15 points. And then we have USC and Kansas State. I actually have Kansas State winning this game, guys, by about 6 or 7 points. Right now, the spread is at USC -1.5. I just don't think USC is going to have enough offensively to keep up with the shooting prowess of Kansas State. Obviously USC still has Kiki Ariafen, but Kansas State is a team that's been shooting the ball proficiently, extremely well since the tournament started. And I don't think that that's going to stop suddenly. So I do have Kansas State pulling off the upset against I have Kansas State pulling off the upset against USC. And those are my predictions, guys. So obviously I still have my Final Four prediction in stack. I still have UCLA. I still have South Carolina. I still have Notre Dame. The only team I'm missing is Kentucky. But let me know what you guys think about my Sweet 16 predictions, guys. Do you guys agree? Do you guys disagree? Am I missing anything? Let me know. I'd love to hear all about it. And guys, real quick, I do want to cover some more news, though. Some more news that we found today. And that is that Cody McMahon, star forward for Ohio State, has chosen to enter the transfer portal, which is a bit surprising for me because, if anything, I thought that McMahon would choose to enter the draft. But what this means for her moving forward, obviously it means that she's going to stay another year, and it tells me that she believes that she has more room to develop, and also she wants to have a deep run in the NCAA tournament. She talked about how the loss 2 years ago, or a year ago against Duke in the NCAA tournament, a game in which Ohio State was predicted to win, lost, and how that was on her mind the entire season, and how she was using that as fuel and motivation for this season. However, we see what happened to Ohio State. They lost to Tennessee in the second round. So with McMahon entering the transfer portal, let's see where she decides to go. I don't think she'll stay in the Big Ten. I do believe she'll move to a team, either in the SEC or the ACC. Perhaps a team like Louisville will be able to get McMahon, or even Maryland. But that came as news. Cody McMahon entering the transfer portal. Let me know what you guys think. Where do you guys think Cody McMahon will land up? Star forward for Ohio State entering the transfer portal. Where will she be next season? And perhaps even more surprising news, AZ Fudd is choosing to stay another year at UConn. Star guard AZ Fudd, who has had issues with injuries since her time at UConn, though extremely talented, is choosing to stay another year at UConn. This comes as a surprise because many expected AZ Flood to enter the draft, seeing that she was projected to be a top 15 pick. But I do believe this is the right decision for AZ due to the impact that NIL will have financially. A lot of these players in women's college basketball, they can make more off of NIL in college than they can off of the WNBA in their contract. So financially, I see that as an incentive for AZ to stay, and also gives AZ time to develop. When Paige leaves next year, AZ cannot move into that primary scorer role at UConn, and it allows her to develop her confidence and allows her to elevate her game and to add more tools to her game. And her playing another year, full healthy season at UConn will allow her to gain the confidence that she needs going into the WNBA. Because right now, I don't think her confidence is at 100%, both physically and mentally. I think she still has a little bit of concern with her injuries, and with her game, she doesn't have the confidence yet to where it needs to be a top 10 pick in the WNBA. So I think this is a great decision for AZ to stay another year, and it's a great move for UConn as well. And also the insurance behind it. Even if for some reason AZ gets hurt again, she's still making the NIL money. So it's a win-win situation for her to stay at UConn for another year. So I think it's a good decision by AZ to stay because it helps build her confidence. And now she's going to be in a role where she's a primary leader, primary scorer, primary option offensively. And that's just going to build her confidence for next year's draft. So a great decision by AZ. I'm proud of her making decisions to stay at UConn. I'm sure she had quite a lot of people in her ear trying to sway her to which way or next. But I do believe this is the best decision for AZ. But let me know what you guys think. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Is this the best decision for AZ Flood to stay another year at UConn? Or should she have entered the draft? But with that being said, guys, listen, that is it for our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a wonderful show. If you haven't already, be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well, so you guys can stay up to date on all of our latest content that we post daily. And if you'd like to subscribe to us on Patreon, you can do so by going to patreon.com, clicking on the search bar, and typing in Sorry to Bother You Show. That way you can get access to all of our exclusive content that we post daily. And if you'd like to support our channel, you can do so by following the Cash App link in our description, as well as links to our website, as well as our Patreon as well. That being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back again, guys, next week, same time with another basketball show. Until then, continue to stay safe, be